I just got hip to Omar Hound. This is some deep YouTube ARG level avant tape music, post vaporwave, some wild shit going on there. Omar Hound is what you've been listening to. Welcome back, everyone. We got Monday night school, public school. That's right. Shout outs to Kareem for putting me onto Omar Hound. I've taken the Omar pill, and it's taking me deep into these depths, some murky depths. Welcome back, everyone. Public Night School Edition, Group Critique Fight Club. We are back, once again presented by our friends at Tape Trade, a lovely service for any of y'all in the need of sending files, works in progress to each other quickly with some very, very nice audio encoder in browser, without any AI data extraction, no scraping of information or your audio when you use this platform, unlike the ones that we normally use, like G Drive and D-Box, things of that nature. So please check out tapetrade.io, where apparently when you sign up, you get a free trial automatically. So please do so. Check it out. Friends of the show, genuine supporters, and we got some interesting stuff, myself included, working with them in the works that I will be pleased to announce to you at some point in the future. But for now, we are here. We are hanging out. We got ourselves some music to listen to today. Your music. Your music indeed. Let me just make sure that our setup is looking good over here. Let me get this screen open and we can discuss. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Where's the screen? Oh no. What happened? What happened to the screen? What happened to the screen? We're gonna have to pull it up. We're gonna have to pull it up. Everybody wants to see it up. Yeah, 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 yeah. Whoa, whoa, whoa. This is my submission for night school. I hope you enjoy it. Yeah, get the screen up. Everybody wants to see it up. It's a beautiful song. It took me 5 years to write it. We got some new, well, this is a actually relatively older submission from earlier this month that we didn't get to last time because previous time we had our monthly project presentation, which, by the way, will be coming up for y'all as well. The October due date for the September monthly project is Monday the 6th, October 6th. So please, please, please get your submissions in this month. It is all about making a piece with feedback, samples of feedback, and we are open to interpretation as to what that really means. So, you know, open to interpretations. Would love to see what you consider feedback. So we got a submission actually coming to us from the end of August that we didn't get to. From an artist named Sihi, I believe. I believe their name is Sihi. Yeah. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And they wrote to us, "Hello, and I'm glad to be here." I'm glad you're here too, Sihi. Would love some feedback on this IDM neo-trance synthwave track entitled Philemon. Let's get it. Hell yeah. That was just lovely now. That was just lovely. Would we call that dark wave? I mean, neo-trance, synthwave, IDM. I don't know. I mean, like, this was just some, like, lovely house music, if you ask me. Really lovely stuff. I actually enjoy how restrained it feels. Like, there are some obvious, like, good usage of risers and some of the tropes. Enjoying that meow or whatever that vocal sample was in there was really nice. But it doesn't become big room in the way that feels too on the nose, moving it from, I don't know if we would call this IDM necessarily. I mean, like, I very much appreciate the attention to detail and precision, especially in the maximizing of the stereo field here. The panning was really, really nice. But to me, this was incredibly palatable. It felt very much in line with a cousin of deep house. But and I mean that in a sensible way that it stays restrained dynamically. It still has this sort of brooding minimalism to it. It almost feels like a hardware jam to some extent, like restrained and limited, without necessarily trying to go past a certain amount of instrumentation, which I appreciate. I mean, I think that it's easy in this type of music to overproduce. In fact, I think that, like, and I don't know what software you're using, to produce here, but I think oftentimes that's the curse with Ableton, specifically, is the almost compulsion to stack loops, and obviously more formulaic loop-based dance music like house is the perfect sort of subject for loop stacking, more typical Ableton production and performance here. And this doesn't have that. I think you could have very easily gone there, but you didn't, which is a good thing. In my opinion, less is way more. And there's already too much big room happening right now. I feel like, cutting against that, remaining minimal, remaining with a little bit cloaked in mystique, a little bit brooding. I don't know. It remaining darker slightly reverts, or rather diverts, the much more typical commercial tropes of this type of music. So it's a nice taste here. Part of me does think from a mix perspective now, like, what can we do to take it out of the box even further? It does feel a bit raw in the post-production side of things. How you produce these things, I'm keen to saturation and exciter on all channels. Right now it feels very clean, and how can we find a way to break it out of the preset mode of mixing that comes with various virtual instruments into something a bit more raw, a bit more live in its output, its final mixing output. Breathplay writes, my litmus test for big room is, can I imagine it being used as an ad sync for gaming computer parts? And I think this successfully avoids that benchmark. Okay, well, there you go. That's a good that's a good way to categorize here, because there's certainly a dime a dozen ad agencies that will just seep through. That is what Suno AI and Udio AI are built for, is big room house, meant for big room house EDM, meant for advertisement synchronization music. No doubt. You do avoid that. You do avoid that here. No one is telling you that. So good. Maintain that avoidance. Continue to divert. Deadmau5 could soundtrack an Alienware ad, but Basic Channel could not. Bars. There you go. There you go. That would actually be kind of cool. A Basic Channel. That might convince me to buy a gaming PC. You know, I've avoided it my whole life because it seems too fucking complicated. But, you know, if Basic Channel was involved, who knows? Who knows? Thank you, He. All right. Let us get right on with the next person. We had submitted to us a couple weeks ago, right before I went on tour. We got Coco Blained here. I want to read what they wrote to us in the Discord. We got ourselves a Canuck from Halifax. They write to us, hope you are all doing well. I'm an artist from Halifax, Nova Scotia that goes by Blonde. My nickname is Coco. I am part of the new peer emo scene coming out of Halifax. All right, this is fantastic. They had DM'd me on Instagram talking about niche subcultures, and we found one. A Halifax local subgenre called peer emo. And they write, I joined that scene by releasing my own music as well as playing keys in the peer emo band Earth Moon Transit. My music is hard to describe. It's best to listen to it and to come to your own conclusions, but if I had to label it, I would call it emotronica, abstract hip-hop, and hyperpop. Above are 3 songs I made, Initiating being the first song on my next solo album, Through My Hazel Eyes. It's my favorite song on the album, and called Failed State, and Confidence Narcissism is the instrumental track right now. Okay, well, I accidentally put the Confidence Narcissism one, but I'm going to let me just upload these here, update the playlist with some other ones here, and add that to the Tape Trade playlist for today, because I accidentally I just picked one for today and I put Confidence Narcissism, but forgot to read the description and realize that is an instrumental. So we're going to replace that with Through My Hazel Eyes so we could get the full picture here, and I'll remove the other one for now. So this one, Through My Hazel Eyes, is Coco's favorite song on the last album called Failed State. And we're going to get a taste for what peer emo sounds like. This is what it's all about. Everyone's scenes should strive for some odd categorization, some niche subgenre categorization that you can truly claim as a regional, enigma. It's a wonderful thing when something like that happens regionally. All right, Through My Hazel Eyes, I Store What's in My Hard Drive by Blonde.
Rosetta.
Reflecting like the seas, the waterway will find truth, as I see me and you. It pulls one end with allure, and the sweetness of the bait must mark your great fate. But will you keep me as a pet, or will you keep me away? Wait. Some things are hard to know, but what I'm comfortable with though, whether you munch on me to the core, or keep me warm like the sun to the shore, your eyes will make me forget all that I went through before.
When you're presented with a bike, or a situation where you have to ride a bike, and you've already learned how to do it, it's easier to remember riding a bike, even if in your head you're like, I can't remember how to do it. Once you're in the situation, you might remember how to do it, and it almost seems like magic that you know how to do it. Whereas there's certain memories that, like, even with prompting you're not going to get, and there's certain memories that you don't need any prompts to remember.
forgiveness.
It's something that I'll really need to practice. Wish I could forgive all that I've harmed, but that would defeat the drastic changes that shape me to be a man who watches the steps and is afraid of what he could choose to be. Would you forgive me for entering your life before I could really look and see me through mistakes I've made that gave me ache that I've since looked at and treated? I hope that you've solved whatever was scarring and burning my soul. You meant so much to me.
Your eyes turn me to fish that is deep in the sea, wondering what's above the layer of white that to me looks so blurry. And I'll knowing the warmth that you hold, the spurs that wrap around me, so I can be calm in this welcome world, and your arms can put me at ease.
Yo. Wow. Holy shit. Give it up for Coco, Blonde, Halifax, Nova Scotia, pure emo music. My goodness. Yo. It's what I'm fucking talking about right now. Small Scenes. I'll just say Small Scenes USA. Small Scenes North America happening right now. You do not need to be in fucking Bushwick or Ridgewood, Queens. You do not need to be in fucking whatever. I don't know, Altadena, LA. You do not need to be in Chicago to be pushing boundaries in a uniquely regional way. I have never been to Halifax, Nova Scotia, but pure emo makes me want to pursue it. Genuinely. This is a beautiful thing that we just heard. Indescribable thing. I mean, okay, we could describe it. I am encountering this as a collage first and foremost. You know, like utilizing obvious, very musical elements here, but just in a linear sense, as if we are encountering 5 different vignettes, some of which are formally musical, some of which are completely electroacoustic abstractions. And like Breathplay said in the chat, you know, they all really are, they do cohere, you know, there is cohesion across the board here. Like, in theory, this would be chaotic and abrupt. And obviously there's loudness here, and there's plenty of clipping and stuff like that. But compositionally, I think it flows really nicely, and it was almost lulling me. Obviously, I mean, I think keeping it loud the entire time limits the dynamic range. And so if you set your volume to not be deafening, you're kind of in this constant sort of clipping state, oversaturated state, which if you just kind of accept it, in many ways feels like a lulling sensation. And the, you know, choice of vignettes, you know, within 2.5-3 minutes or so. Yes, like you said, Blonde, the clipping is intentional. Yeah, we know, we can tell, no doubt. The song is about dying memory, and I think that that's actually quite interesting, because it's like there are other electronic projects that have toyed with this, most famously like The Caretaker, and that tends to veer on the, you know, what you'd call ambient music side of things, just by their own aesthetics here. But like, who is to say thematically that that this dying memory, dementia, Alzheimer's, just the idea of losing touch with yourself needs to sound in any way on the quieter side. You know, like there's a chaos to this inherent in the production, but at the same time it feels like, you know, this again, like accepting accepting the oversaturation and just sort of becoming lulled by it in a passive way. That's why I was using this word like linear in relation to the concept of like a sound collage here. Is that it's never really repeating itself. You're kind of just going along for the ride here in a good way. You know, it's I think that having 30 to 45 seconds of this kind of just overly clipped out cloud wrap towards the end, you know, we didn't even move out of the abstract noise, a sort of electroacoustic collage form until like about halfway through. Then we started to hear formal, quote unquote, formal music for the first time, you know. This is just a really beautiful short film. You know, I just watched 5 scenes in sequence that had something to do with each other, but not necessarily a straightforward narrative. I'm curious, you know, if they're on the record that you made here, if there are tracks that do have dynamic range, or if you would consider pure emo characteristics to include this clipping and sort of like limiting the dynamic range to the very loud across the board or not. I'd be very curious. And yeah, I mean, you are now our peer emo plug, so you have a responsibility to inform the greater public of what that entails. Because I'm fascinated by this stuff, man. Seriously, it's really lovely when a place that you've never been sort of just destroys you. All right, so you wrote, oh yeah, pure emo is very classified by bit crushing. Good, okay. So we're certainly within the realms of extremism, sonic extremism. Good, that's good to know. And for those that are in the Discord, there are some other examples on there. But Blonde, feel free to post your Bandcamp link here in the chat so people have it as well, so we can listen to the rest of that record. This is fucking great. Thank you for participating. This is what it's all about. You're right. The biggest pure emo artist right now is my friend Jesse's band. I dialed your number. She just finished recording the US if you want to get familiar. Okay. Good to know. Good to know. Well, I guess they're touring. They're touring. It's moving beyond Halifax. But shout outs to Halifax. There are freaks everywhere. For those with eyes to see. Go find them. Go fucking find them in your town. All right. Next up, we got a pairing of short ones from a new participant here, Matthew Hassel, who we met yesterday in our Patreon group critique, which I highly encourage everyone else to join here. But I wanted to play some of their stuff here as well. Matthew wrote, "What's good, y'all? Matthew here, reaching out from Brooklyn. I'm a painter turned microphone lover, field recordist, synth head, looking for feedback on my last project, Gestures on Paper. Sharing a couple tracks here for your consideration. It's completely composed from recordings I made of hands and writing and arts utensils on paper." Yes, we got a little taste for this yesterday, but we're going to play both of them for you now since they're both 2 minutes or less. We'll play them in succession. Triangles and then Circles by Matthew Hassel. Let's go. Hell yeah. Lovely stuff from Matthew Hassel. Absolutely lovely. From the Gestures on Paper series. And Matthew, we had discussed this a little bit yesterday. Just, your background as a visual artist, I think, often, not just in your case, but often informs the sonic process in a completely different way than the musician, or the formally trained musician. And in this case, I think that your attention to physical material and utilizing the microphone as the paintbrush or the camera lens, the usage of the transducer as the means of documenting a surface of material, and in this case, paper. And as we found out in the chat, like the titles of the pieces in relation to the shapes that you're making with the microphone. As Breathplay had asked, Matthew, what do the titles refer to? If anything, do the shapes correspond to something about the sounds or their method? And Matthew responded, they do. It'll hopefully become more obvious as they play out. And then, is it that is it what you're marking on the paper in the recording? And I think I'm assuming that's what it is. Is we are hearing the sounds of creating triangles with a microphone scraping against paper, versus a circle, which is fascinating because then it also gets into the art of transduction with your hand, right? You are now conducting sound in a visceral, physical way. You are now performing the microphone. Yeah. Okay. So Matthew writes, right. Also, the way I am moving around the mic as you record. Exactly. This reminds me much of a good friend of mine who I've performed with in the past, Ka Baird, Kabaird. She is a fantastic improviser and vocalist, but has a multi-instrumentalist, music technologist. But in her recent work, she's been doing these live sound performances for shotgun microphone, like typically used on film sets, right? And doing these erratic, semi-choreographed, semi-improvised sort of performances out in the field, in which they're doing very creative location sound recordings where they get put their full body into these motions to create these massive whooshing sounds as she moves from this humming generator over here to the river over here. And so it's and there's video components to it as well where you can see them moving around. But also there's just the sound alone is so enticing. This very much reminds me of her stuff. Okay, cool. So you wrote in the chat, you love her. There you go. She's a great inspiration. I was in a vocal quartet with her once for a Leah Bertucci composition premiere at a Issue Project Room a long time ago. Ka and I go way back on that. But yeah, this reminds me of that, where it's just like the instrument is now the art of transduction, like the art of capturing vibration in the air with some sort of handheld device, and just combining that with the material, physical material, in which like now paper becomes a drum head to some extent, and the microphone becomes a drum stick. It's really a lovely, like, electroacoustic percussion, we could call this. This is we could put that under that category here, where this is amplified percussion to like such a hyper amplified, incredibly physical, intimate degree, that is incredibly unique, and it's not often that we truly veer into the sound art categorizations here on our group critiques. It's really bringing me back to grad school, good old MFA days. Gonna be a decade soon since I had gone to grad school, which is fucking wild. But like I said, there's this sort of interesting perspective that is, I think, inherently visual here, because even though we're only listening to stuff, I'm imagining you cutting out shapes of paper with a microphone. Like I'm imagining these speculative paper collages that you are creating out of specific shapes with each of these pieces, because each shape sort of provides its own sonic texture, and it's just a really lovely sort of sonic imaginations, speculative sonic collage that you've created here, that I think is, again, inherently sort of bridging a gap to visual, even in its most like raw material sense of just utilizing paper and specific shapes of paper. It just kind of screams these shapes listening to that. That sounded like circles. All's I'm going to say. Those circles, rich in timbre. Fantastic. Thank you very much for sharing, Matthew. I'm glad we got to hear that through and through, both pieces on that, and highly recommend everyone go check out Gestures on Paper out on Bandcamp. All right. We got something from Breath Play. All written here. The only thing written, Christian pop dub. That's all we need to know, apparently. That's good. Every tongue confess. All right. Let's get into it. Yeah. There's such a... It's not the first time I've heard Christian music and Christian pop and like the Nashville or adjacent industrial complex remixed in a way that feels both like humorous but beautiful in a genuine, just straightforwardly musical way. And maybe it's just because the way that these tracks are composed and produced is that like that sort of plastic Stepford Wivesian perfection across the board in both the pristineness of instrumentation and recording in that, and then obviously like oftentimes with a female vocalist, this just like shiny vocal mix in particular, like pop over the top sort of pop techniques, you know, like exaggerating even like most common 90s and 2000s tropes. And so it kind of, I feel like it gives you this nice sort of foundation of remixing where like it's very sympathetic tonally, you know, almost like a open tuned guitar in the way that like you can find moments in the audio file and do this interesting sort of performance of live dubbing on the faders, and you can know that whatever moment you might pick or whatever loop you might want to make in the recording itself, based on wherever in the recording, it's going to be this beautiful, tonally harmonious, perfect sort of consonance here, and it leaves for a lot of opportunities for this sort of live remixing that you're doing, where there will never be a moment of dissonance, really, and so it opens the door for you to experiment and focus on like the almost surrealism of the kind of juxtaposition of perfect consonants, and you know, we could make out some of the words, we can make out the tone of her voice, you know, and get a general gist of the emotional evocation that's trying to come from the original recording. Maybe not the full song structure or anything like that, but like we could get a vibe for sure. And then, you know, to present it to us in these sort of waves of whooshes of delay and loops and space to the point of almost silence. It creates this surrealism. It's a beautiful juxtaposition, you know. It in many ways it kind of feels like, you know, a take on some of the earlier vaporwave stuff that is specifically targeting 80s commercial music in some of the schlockiest or muzak sort of ways. But in this case, you know, I am getting this kind of inherently, like I said, like Nashville music industrial complex, like a different type of schlock, you know, from a different era and a different sort of, you know, agenda for sure. But it still has this sort of like cloaked in surrealism and irony, you know, like this is also humorous to me, which I really enjoy. You wrote, big question is, where do I draw the line for something like this for raw versus polished? I want to do at least one more take, but I don't want to make myself draw a line and not be a perfectionist. I think that like laying into this more of like a live electronic piece, I'm still hearing this as like inherently SP404-esque 2000s kind of lower fidelity live semi-improvised electronic piece, sort of adds to the oeuvre, you know, of sort of like pairing it with a Rifts era One-O-Tricks, sort of Nobody Here era One-O-Tricks or early vaporwave sort of aesthetic here, but in the sort of 2000s sort of oeuvre, not an 80s and 90s version of that. You know what I mean? I think that like my ear was going towards SP404 because that would be like the machine that people were using, or 303, for making this sort of live collage stuff at that time, or shortly afterwards in the 2000s, because I know you said the track is from the late 90s. So I don't know, it has this, I think the rawness of it is part of the appeal, and I'd be curious like what a perfect version of this might actually be, because I think part of this is that you are performing live, and there will always be some inherent slight imperfections or just like changes that aren't like, I don't know, locked to a grid, quantized, but like this handmade quality to it, I think, is part of the charm here, and it's something that I would love to watch. I think that like what's really exciting about this is you're doing this with DJ controllers. So like right off the bat, like we're already seeing a la Maria Chavez, this sort of like take on abstract turntablism or abstract DJ performance, but in the strictly digital record box and controller sense, and not the analog turntable and vinyl sense. Creating live dubs in a strictly abstract and not inherently danceable way, like using record box or Serato and a DJ controller as an instrument first and foremost, and not just blending and mixing tools of pre-recorded material. This is a tape music instrument, it's a really lovely thing to see this happen, but it's also, I want to see it, I know you got a show coming up and I know you're going to kill it. DIY, this would be great for the venue that you're playing, like having this, blurring the lines of danceability, clubbiness, and veering into noise, veering into drone, veering into electroacoustic improvisation. Don't let the DJ controller stop you from thinking outside of the grid. It's a very inherently gridded and quantized to the BPM machine, but it's very easy to veer off that course and chart your own into some interesting territories here. But again, it all stems from your choice of sounds here. So I think this is a great, surreal, sort of creepy to some extent, knowing where it comes from, but again, like strong choice of audio to pick from, and having this across 2 decks and messing with it that way is really strong. Oh, cool. So you're planning a CD of these dubs as limited physical only release for merch tables. Fantastic. We getting back onto CDs. I sold quite a few on the tour to young people, fuck it. And I was like, do you want a Bandcamp code? And they were like, nah, man, I'll just rip it when I get home. I got an external CDR drive. And I'm like, yes! The kids are all right. We're ripping CDs again, folks. We go in lossless. We go in 320 MP3 at the bare minimum. You know what I'm saying? Dub your own CDs. Make your own merch. Fuck a distro. DIY will never die if you don't let it. Thank you, Breath Play. Wonderful stuff. All right, we got 2 more today. We got from a new participant, the homie Shamier. Hey, Habibs. Hey, yourself. Just curious what y'all think. I think it falls into the genre of folky ambient interlude. Love it. Welcome, Shamier. We're going to get this pulled up here. The track is called I Don't Hate You. That's good. Let's hear it.
I don't hate you, but I can't stand to be around you no more. I can't escape you when you just keep knocking down on my door. Oh my God, if you take me fix of it and see what is wrong. For too long, when you just stretch me out. Spirals that people have
Yeah. Absolutely lovely. Absolutely lovely stuff from Chamier. Coming at us from Cali. I was just playing video games with that guy earlier today. Which, if y'all want to play Skate with me, hit me up after this. I'll give you my EA username. This was absolutely lovely, and I agree with what's going on in the chat here. We're saying more like folk Michelle Nadelicello mode. Feels kind of like Sade in a good way. I completely agree. It's this melancholic soul, melancholic R&B, and how can we need a drum in the pocket on this. We need a sparse but deeply pocketed, and I mean that in the true sense of the word in drumming, where it is it's not rushing, it's not dragging, it's just got pure funk in its timing. It's not swung necessarily, it's just in the pocket. We need something with some flam on there. Ooh, yo, tightness. We need that here. You know, I want to lay in to the R&B aspect of this. You know, I want there to be a sparse, stripped down, but like all you don't need more than a couple more things. Bass and drums, I think, honestly, because the little pads, you know, maybe towards the end start bringing them in. It would be nice to have some counterpoint to your voice, maybe on the second verse or halfway through the track, of hearing some counterpoint to your voice with those pads and not just having them as the sort of instrumental break aspect there, like maybe a little bit of growth to that part. But besides that, just a rhythm section, you know, there's just, you have the funk here, you know. I love that. Breath play suggesting a floor tom, an ultra muted felty floor tom. Yeah, like put your elbow on that with a mallet. You know, fucking snare off, rim shot. Flam it. Gra. Double on that. Sprux says was thinking a slower drum loop. Absolutely right on the bass aspect. Yes. Oh, that's you. Sprux. That's you. Is that the artist name? Are we going by Sprux? I don't know. This is you're close, man. You're close. Because this is inherently minimalist music. This does not need overproduction in the slightest. It's your old gamer name, Sprux. That's right. That's right. Hit them up on Skate. They'll complete some challenges with you. We're gonna have to do a live stream dedicated just to that, like a real fucking gamer. Like a real fucking gamer, and not just this boring music school bullshit on live stream. Give the people what they want. Video games. No. This is absolutely lovely. And your voice is fantastic, because this is like, you know, I could hear the strain. I could hear the closeness, the proximity. It's like whisper tone to some extent. It's really beautiful. You know, and that implies a pain. You know, there just is something there, yearning. It's absolutely beautiful. Really, really lovely. It's just, the melancholy is there. Give us a rhythm section. I want to hear a new version of this. Submit it. Get it in. Thank you, Shams. Lovely stuff. And then it looks like wrapping it up today, our final submission for the evening is from Kareem, the godfather of wet music. They write a quick little music loop, kind of just a bed for a more dynamic track, but the wet music journey continues. That's right. The lore deepens. Kareem was the one that got us into, what was it? Omar Ground? That's the artist who? Omar Hound, as we were listening to in the lobby, which goes beyond wet music. That's wet music extremism. We don't need to necessarily go straight there. We can be moderates in wet music as well. There's nuance to the wetness. Hunter's Lurch, a quick loop. We could listen to it twice, from Kareem. the beginnings of something. The wet music journey continues. Absolutely love this. What we got in the chat going on? This would work super well in a video game. This has been said before. Absolutely. Spatial music. Leaning into the ludomusicology here. You know, imagining where we are in an interactive space and what it sounds like in a sort of speculative score. That feels very inherent to this project that Kareem is doing. Love the tiny, tiny snare from the other room through the walls. Sprux writes, this is like a C418 and the PS4 home music sound effects combined together. You know, I think, Kareem, the video game references are strong here, you know, in a abstracted, surrealist Y2K, PSX, PS2 sort of era. You know, it's almost like in a post-internet art aesthetic, but applied towards sound through the lens of gaming consoles and specific video game scores, or at least like locations inspiration here. He wrote, breath play Lord Ribs, but if you're in the bathroom at the party remix of my top 10 forever. Breathplay writes, Kareem, I'd encourage you to look into the band Lifted for ideas on where this could go, especially their latest trellis on Peak Oil. Peak Oil, highly recommended for that left field. Peak Oil, shout outs to the homie Brian Foote, founder of Peak Oil, curator extraordinaire, putting on some very interesting left wing too, probably. Left field electronic music. Kareem saying there's some Sonic Adventure 2 battle screenshots on your computer, not gonna lie. Yeah, I mean, there's a shininess to it. That's why I said Y2K aesthetic. I gotta look up the specific aesthetic term that graphic designers and art directors use that describe this like lime to dark green sort of Y2K, very heavy on the green, like sort of industrial hue. That this has it's not green in a natural sense. It's almost artificial green that works really well. That I don't know. This reminds me of, you know, like, what is the color of this? If I'm having a sort of synesthesia, flirting with synesthesia right now, this is giving me that specific hue that was used in so much media. It's basically like Xbox loading screen is the aesthetic that I'm describing here. This brings me there. You know, there has elements of metallic. It flirts with harsher timbres here. You know, hearing this, you know, that's sort of like scraping, but it's muted, almost like tension mallets. You know, like on a gong or a cymbal. You know, like metallic scraping, but muted in a rubbery sort of way. This has that, but through, you know, obviously electronic sound design means, you know, it's not ambient. It's not pleasing in the most layman terms, you know, like it flirts with tension. It flirts with dissonance to some extent. So curious where you go from here. I know this is just a foundation, a bed loop, where it would go. I would veer towards the less tonal. I would flirt with dissonance even further if I was to add more melodic materials to this, without a doubt. Don't ground us in a safe place with something like this. I think that this surrealism could end up being a nightmare without necessarily being any jump scares, truly like undeniably abrasive, but this sort of ambiguity in surrealism could lead us to some dark places without us necessarily realizing. You know, it kind of creeps on you. You know, you think about it later on, not the type of thing that scares you right away, but later on it stays with you. You know, them's the thoughts. Beautiful stuff. Fascinating work from everyone today. We got a nice little we got a nice little roundabout, nice little playlist of tracks, good submissions for this week. Just a reminder once again, send your work for the monthly project for this month. Send it by October 6th, Monday, October 6th, which is in 2 weeks from now, I believe. Yeah, 2 weeks from now, it will be due, and we will present all of them. Get the info on the Discord. Shout outs once again to Tape Trade for the support, powering our playlists. I'm going to put this up for the greater public to stream individually in the show notes for those that just want to get straight to the music afterwards. Accessible wherever you are in the world. And yeah, sign up for the Patreon, patreon.com/Parrotsky, to get in on the Sunday edition of Group Critique Fight Club behind the paywall, our Zoom School edition. And yeah, we'll see y'all next week. Fantastic work from everyone. Hope y'all have a great week and a great evening. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.